Thanks for tuning us in here on Local Decision 2024. I'm Eric Nelson, and joining us in studio today is David Kubat, who's running for Centerville City Council. You've spent time on the Planning Commission in Centerville. Welcome to the show, David, and let's just start out with the basic question. Why are you running?
Well, thank you for inviting me today, and I'm happy to have a chance to talk to you and hopefully a lot of people that are watching. I'm running because I've been involved in Centerville for several years now. I think that having quality choices in elections is very important. We always get really bogged down with the political cycles of the federal government and the state races and all the places that get all the money, but local government's where most of the things happen that really affect everybody. And oftentimes there aren't enough choices in those elections. So I've decided to put my hat in, and hopefully everyone will want to consider me for the council.
Yeah, and local government, that's really the minutia. That's where the change happens, and it has an impact on people in their respective cities. You've been on the Planning Commission in Centerville. What did you learn there, and how can that, kind of trampoline you into being on the council?
Well, a lot of what the Planning and Zoning Commission does is deals with the development. And certainly during the period I was serving on that commission from 2021 to 2023 was a period of very high interest in development. Centerville's relatively small, and the amount of developable acres that it has is pretty limited as well. But that environment was really strong for growth, and managing the character of the community, keeping it the feel of the local community while bringing some of those high quality services that the business community has to offer was really important to our work. I'm hoping that experience, the knowledge of what the community needs, will help as I evaluate other topics on the city council like budgets, fire and police protection, and other key aspects of what the city council has to deal with beyond just the planning and zoning process.
Personally then, is this the right time for you to make that pivot from the Planning Commission to what you hope will be a council seat?
I think so. My wife and I have raised two wonderful children. They're 5 and 7. We just shipped my son off to kindergarten today. And although certainly there's a lot of demands on the family and my professional career, I do have time to give back and to help build my community. On the city council, it's a large commitment, but I know what I'm getting into. I was the chair of the P&Z for more than a year. I got to see the background of how you develop processes and projects and how much time goes in addition to the meetings, and I feel like I'm capable of it at this time.
All right, so you know Centerville well. What is the city doing right, in your opinion?
Well, the city's done fantastic work with reducing the overall indebtedness of the city. When it's been an issue that's been a decade-long process of updating the bond rating and trying to get the debt under control. It's such a small city, and maintaining public services that people expect only 20 miles from a major metro area, while also being so small that having that small town feel, it's a very difficult balancing act. I think the current city staff and the current council and mayor have done a very good job kind of balancing those priorities, but there are storm clouds on the horizon. The cost of public services has gone up 10-12% year over year from in the past couple of years. Just like small business owners, we face these demands on labor and other types of processes. The city's going to have to be very creative in the future to make sure that it grows smartly without taxing out its current residents.
So as you said, Centerville, this small dot on the Twin Cities metro map, surrounded by other suburbs. So how do you keep that charm, or that feeling of being a lot further away from St. Paul or Minneapolis than you actually are? Is that the balancing act?
You like to say small dot. I like to think of it as a lush oasis of a wonderful lakeside community and parks and a great school and local community gatherings where people get to know your name. How you keep that is you grow smart, you grow within your means, you're careful not to take on too much, whether it comes to budget items or other things like that, and you just continue the traditions like Fête de Locks and Downtown Market and all these wonderful traditions that the city has come up with to keep us connected as a small community.
Yeah, and you talk about some of those. I mean, Main Street Market, the water ski show on Centerville Lake. Not only is that a magnet for your own residents, but you know, people are coming from other areas, so that's definitely it can be a windfall, can it?
And you pass it on to the kids who grew up in Centerville, seeing those things and feeling those types of feelings and wanting to come back for it. There's a lot of residents who came seeking something similar in other small communities that they felt, and they found a home in Centerville for that kind of process.
So where do you land on high-density housing projects? I know that's come up. Block 7 is one example. Because Centerville is attractive to some people. Not everyone can afford to get a house. How do you find that sweet spot?
Well, certainly the increased cost of housing, particularly in the single-family home market, has been a challenge for the entire metro area. Now with the interest rates are where they are, it's just impossible for a regular middle-class family to buy a single-family home in certain areas like Centerville, like it used to be in the 70s and 80s when it was growing up the way that it did. You do need to find spaces for intelligent, dense development, but dense in a way that makes sense for Centerville. So, for example, row townhomes can be a great way of adding housing at an entry-level price to allow for people to come and join the community of Centerville without needing to have generational wealth in order to purchase the property.
So how do you approach controversial, complicated issues that the city's bound to face?
Well, we definitely had some of those. There was an apartment complex that went before the P&Z when I first joined. My very first P&Z meeting, second P&Z meeting, the first public hearing I attended went till 1 o'clock in the morning, where we were on the Zoom call. I didn't know what I was getting into there, but hearing everyone out on their thoughts of these projects and the concerns over safety and traffic and the pollution and other things that come with development, there's always a concern when something new is coming next door. Oftentimes those things become less so as the development actually moves into the process, and things like the Quick Trip, which I know a lot of people go to now, which was originally a concern, add value to the community. I know apartments are one of those things that are hard to figure out where and in a way that doesn't disrupt the local community, but I feel like we can find the right place for the right mix of high-density housing without disrupting our current residents.
And your main job is lawyer. I know you work in St. Paul. You deal with immigration issues. Mm-hmm. How does that help you in situations that may come up? Just as far as you've dealt with a lot of different people in your life.
Well, I found actually a lot of carryover between the complicated regulatory state that I deal with in the immigration law and this issues of zoning and planning and managing the city code. The ordinances of the city of Centerville are extensively long, and oftentimes people only kind of turn to the page that they're interested in when they want to do something specific, and the complexity of it's difficult to parse. So I think I've been very good at, in my time on P&Z, finding ways to take something legally complicated and putting it in plain English in a way that's a lot easier, and I hope to do more of that on the city council.
Give a grade to downtown Centerville. Is it where it needs to be? Is it a destination spot?
I would say it's an emerging spot at the moment. You have the area of downtown around the lakefront where the school is oriented in that, and I know that's where they were looking at building more mixed-use district, but it seems like the current development pressures are more to the east, over where the Quick Trip went in. There's a couple of lots there zoned for commercial that are ripe for development as the housing in Watermark continues to develop and other housing projects come online. Wouldn't surprise me if that was where the orientation for more retail development was in the future. The long term of Centerville, I think, is something that the next city council needs to carefully study and update that 2008 plan, look towards the future of what's actually possible.
What are your budget priorities? That's always a key.
Well, we have to continue to do the hard work of keeping the services high and the services that the community demands, while making sure that the existing residents of Centerville don't get priced out of their own homes. The cost of everything has gone up dramatically over the past several years, and I don't want to see a major change to the community where the tax rates go to such an extent that no one can afford to live there unless they've moved in recently with a great deal of money.
How much growth would you like to see in Centerville? Because, you know, if it happens too quickly, too fast, things change rapidly. But you also want to, you know, make sure that there is some positive growth in the city. How much is good growth?
Well, smart growth really means managing both the residential growth and the commercial development to expand the tax base. I'd love to see as much commercial growth as is feasible under the circumstances, especially with empty lots that are currently doing nothing. The Amazon facility was a great example of this, taking what is essentially a giant pound of black sod and dirt and turning it into a $20 million building. That also makes it so that I can get my Amazon packages within an hour if I get it at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's a win-win-win for the community, and I would never want to turn that away. As far as large housing projects go, there's not that much space for them, so with the exception of one single lot, as long as we do that farm up correctly when and if that owner wants to sell, that's pretty much it as far as development goes.
If you get elected, are there any things that you want to immediately focus on as far as getting stuff accomplished?
I want to focus on our plan, looking at the issues that were raised with the recent controversy over TIF. I want to get more transparent when it comes to the utilization of tools like TIF and other issues of zoning, especially in these downtown areas where people have strong feelings about the types of developments that need to go in there. That's what I would want to engage in immediately to make sure that when the interest rates come down in the coming years, that when that development pressure goes back up like we saw in 2021, that we're ready for it.
Is Centerville one of the hidden gems in the Twin Cities? I mean, you go to St. Paul daily for your job, then you come back and you're not in the hustle and bustle of a big city. Is Centerville that perfect spot?
It is. It's interesting how many people I talk to that, you know, where do you live? Centerville, and they've lifelong Minnesota residents are like, well, where's that? Like I talked about some place out in 3 hours away. Well, how far is that commute? What terrible thing is, you know, why? And I say, no, it's out there. And sometimes they know Lionel Lakes, but sometimes they don't. But you know what? I don't mind having that hidden gem. The people that live there know it, and that's good enough for me.
So tell our viewers, why should they vote for you?
Well, I've got experience. I've lived in Centerville. I've got a young family. I've got a vision for the future. And I've got a lifetime of service. I've been in the Army National Guard. I've been deployed. I've been a lifelong Minnesota resident. Been through every Minnesota winter that there was, except for the couple that I was overseas. And I know the community, and I know I can do a good job for it.
And again, going back to being a lawyer, do you think that would help you on the council in the sense that you see a lot of different things just in your job?
I think it would help in balancing tough choices and dealing with complicated issues. However, my job as council member will be the council member, not necessarily the attorney for the city. I'll let our current attorney handle that. It's what they get paid for.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for stopping by, and good luck in the election.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right, very good. He's David Kubat, running for City Council in Centerville. This is Local Decision 2024.